wondering why I called you all here. And no, it's not because I want to point fingers at you, saying that you, out of all people, forgot to turn on notifications. No. Actually, speaking of which, let me tell you something good. As of the recording and making of this video, I am almost at 500 subscribers. That's right. Almost at 500 subscribers. No, honestly, I cannot thank any of you enough for helping me get to where I am at this point. Whether if you have been on this channel for quite some time, or if you're recently now just a newcomer to this channel, I cannot thank you all enough, honestly. It really honestly means a lot to me, to say the very least. Anyways, now let me get at the reason why I brought you here. So, if you remember my previous stream I did early, was it earlier this month, or was it before the end of September? Honestly, I forget. But please, go watch that one first, come back, watch this one. Otherwise, you will not get the context behind this stream. But seriously, I can't thank you all enough for not just the number of subscribers I've gotten this past few months, despite the struggle with views I've been having lately. Well, the good news is, some of my older videos had made me hundreds and thousands of views. Thanks to your support, that is. If you're probably wondering why I'm looking down, it's because I'm trying to text my friends in the middle of something. So, let me see. But anyways, the computer situation. If you have not gotten the memo, it has been a problem ever since my time at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, back in August earlier this year. Luckily, I took my mind off of it after spending some time with all of my favorite relatives. Yes, I had relatives over. Let's see. Got obviously a few cousins of mine, my aunt, my uncle, obviously my dad's girlfriend. It was fun while it lasted. Got a chance to go up to Broadway at the beach while I was at it. Honestly, you should try it sometime. It's actually pretty great. But anyways, seriously, back to the computer problem. I asked a few tech experts. Some of my teachers at school happen to be tech experts themselves. And they came up with a variety of problems with the computer itself. One of which was by far the most obvious possibility, the current hard drive being worn out or broken. And the other one was the fan inside the computer. For those of you who even own via just a laptop that just opens and closes, or if you own a monitor desktop, you may know what I'm talking about. A fan that when you turn on the computer, you hear a little sound indicating the computer has been turned on, and when you go sound indicating the computer has been turned off. That noise is the fan you're hearing. So obviously, and also there's a bunch of hot stuff that comes out the bottom of the computer that you can feel burning against your skin. Let's see. So it's either the problem with the hard drive or the problem with a fan. But just now, recently this week, me, my mom, my dad had an entire discussion on the way home asking, what do we do with it now? I mean, I just told them in the end, just get an entirely new hard drive altogether. Because if you get a new one, I will just end up losing all the data, all the memory, all the stuff I have downloaded on that previous one. Something they need to think before just getting an entirely new one altogether. Do you have any idea? Wait, what is the average cost of a computer again? Let's not talk about that, actually. But anyways, my dad knows someone who used to be an expert at computers. Hopefully this week, he's going to ask him if he could somewhat fix it, and if it's possible to fix. And if it's not possible, then yeah, just buy an entirely new computer altogether, save all my previous stuff on a Google Drive, make accounts for it, and I can just re-download all onto that computer. And then my dad asked me if there was anything I remembered about what happened the day before I left for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And well, to say the very least, the only thing I could even remember was the computer itself had a very bad habit of just constantly lagging 24/7 whenever I was playing Trainz Simulator. If you've been a subscriber for quite some time, and if you have at all seen any of my train videos by any chance, you may have known what I'm talking about. How it constantly lags over time. Something which I have a major dislike for, and to the point where I called it outdated, even though that was not true. If it was, though, which again, I'm just saying, I am not at all making up any excuses for that. It has a very poor habit of lagging in between gameplay sessions of Train Simulator. I mean, heck, I'm actually so glad that some of the older Train Simulator games, say for Trainz 2004 up until Trainz 2006, because who knows, that exact same problem could occur with some of the other Train Simulator games. 2009, 2010, I don't know, it's been a problem in at least 2010 and 2012 in particular, but I swear to God, if it is a problem in Trainz A New Era or Trainz 2019 or heck 2022, I am going to travel straight to Australia. Oh. Yeah, hey, it's, Isaiah Stoner. Hey, Isaiah Stoner. Me and him have been good friends for quite some time. I've seen his channel. He does some pretty amazing stuff. Let's see. To the point where I could just completely make a complaint to both NV3 Games and Auron, the two creators and developers for the Train Simulator series, make a complaint to them saying that, yeah, your game has a very bad habit of just constantly lagging. I'm like, what? And that's probably something they have never found out about from like the past how many years, ever since 2004 to 2006. Something they have refused to ever realize. From that very point. I mean, okay, look, I am sorry if I have not done any train-related videos lately, but because of the whole computer problem lately, and also the whole me thinking about wanting to do train videos again, what if it was like on virtual trains in Train Simulator or like retrospective videos? I was thinking of doing a series where I reviewed specific engines or locomotives from specific manufacturers, whether if it's railroads like, or manufacturers I meant, like Alco, EMD, General Electric, Baldwin, Fairbanks Morse, or literally any other manufacturer company, be it by steamies, diesels, or electric engines. And I will review and analyze everything about those engines, the story, life, and the ones that have ultimately made it into preservation. And I feel like I'll probably get around to that series, but I just don't know when in particular. I was ultimately thinking somewhere between the time I finish up the Dawn of Blood Tribe arc, the Augie Bob Cockroach Pants movie, and ultimately at the start of 2025. I really like half of what is left of October. I have a very, very special tribute video for Halloween day, actually, which I hope all of you will be there to see it in its entirety. My videos just keep getting better and better lately because I've been using KineMaster a lot lately. Not just with video making and editing, but also actual images to make it look like they're actually an image inside the image. Okay. But something else I also want to talk about, and it's right here actually. You guys see this okay on screen? Show you a full 360 look. You may be asking to yourself, Dennis, what exactly is this? Well, I have perfectly recreated the Splash driver from Kamen Rider Build. To say the very least, it took quite a while, but in the end I was able to do it. And I eventually tried my best to perfectly recreate it, but like in the end it just turned out being different shades of blue, tan for the piston cylinders when you on the switch, and then also just a bit of yellow for half the wrench and the top being tan. I was thinking how to modify it a bit, but I'll probably do that later on at some point. The two splash jellies I made, dragon and robot. I really love the way how these turned out. They're actually based off of little Japanese Capri Suns. They're in Japan, by the way. I recommend you check them out, by the way. It's really good in Japan. But anyways, something I now just realized about their toy models is that inside the wrapper, there's a sponge inside of it, and when you squeeze it, because I was always wondering what was inside of here. Like, it can't be Play-Doh, it can't be like a stress ball, it's a sponge. Yeah, that's right, sponges are in these things. The toy models, luckily, not like the actual ones in the show. And also, here's the crocodile crack full bottle. And yes, I know that the actual model itself is mostly dark purple, but I ended up using dark blue Legos because one thing is for sure, I did not have enough actual purple Legos, so in the end it had to be dark blue, but I think it looks actually pretty good in dark blue. And I used some red Legos for the cracks inside of it. Actually, it does kind of look like more like drops of blood as opposed to like cracks because of the way how it kind of bends in, down, and again. Anyways, let's get to the point then. That's lever, and you have now successfully become Kamen Rider Grease. Do it again for the attack. And then we do claws. And then that is how Claws achieves his first of many upgrade forms. But he needs a separate belt and morpher in order to get it. Sort of the exact same thing with the that one battleizer in SPD, or wait, was it the same case in SPD? I don't think, because it happens to just be a complete recolor of the Omega Morpher used by Sam in SPD. And now, Crocodile Crack. And now you became Kamen Rider Rogue, which is actually a upgraded form of just normal Rogue. Oh, no, it's Night Rogue. God damn it, me. Night Rogue, who was originally one of Grease and Rogue were originally one of the villains in the show at the very early start of the series, but eventually they became good guys at some point and later became part of the build team. And oddly enough, Rogue's attacks combined with both the Steam Blade and Steam Gun will change the attack that he produces. Now you may also be asking yourself, if you already noticed that an actual full bottle can work in this thing, what about a full bottle that's exactly not Rogue's? Well, good question. I will be right back, actually. So say I use Rabbit for an example. And yeah, it will just say either discharge or charge bottle, which mainly serves as basically some as special attacks for the person using them. So basically, a discharge is with an inorganic bottle, a charge is with an organic full bottle. And so far in the series, we've only seen bottles like Hawk, Helicopter, and Diamond used in this morpher. At least in the series. But in the actual toy form, you can use whatever bottles you want. And now, for an actual size comparison with the two, you can see Crocodile is obviously a bit taller than a normal standard full bottle, specifically because it's designed for the Splash Driver, where this, it's more designed for not just the morphers, but also some of the weapons. Now, I'm also planning on working on the Genius full bottle, a bottle that Build, or Seto, the person who becomes Kamen Rider Build, uses to achieve his last upgrade form in the series. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, it looks like Shishi Red's form, all in white form in Kyuranger, since they're both all in white. And also, something else I just found out about Build's Genius form is that, unlike all of Build's other forms, it doesn't exactly have that usual rabbit tank theme, unlike all the other forms. Which makes it very different from all of his other forms, because it doesn't have that usual rabbit and tank theme to it. He just has like bottles all over him, bottles for a visor, bottles on like his arms and legs, bottles being hauled in his hips and a holster. I don't know what to call it anymore. It's just I believe we can store them on his left hip. Which I am currently struggling to build. And no, it's not because I don't want to build it, it's because I'm having trouble finding pieces I need for it. But do not worry, I will assure you, I will find a way to build it, and I will show you it in its entirety at some point. But for now, ideally, the Genius full bottle is occasionally just the Rabbit Tank Sparkling bottle, but not exactly at the same format and a bit different. With ideally the whole thing being like this, so you have at least the two adapter parts at the top, along with the actual cap, and also the fact that it doesn't have a little switch you find the. And yes, I will also actually make the Claws build and maybe Muscle Galaxy, because they're just recolors off of Genius and Rabbit Tank Sparkling, just slightly recolored and with different programming, voice lines, and sound effects. I'll cross bridges when I actually get to that point. As far as Claws Magmum goes, that proves to be more of a problem. And no, not because I don't want to build it. It's because I don't have enough orange pieces. Because the whole thing itself is mostly orange with a bit of red, a bit of gold, and a bit of black. Like, that's just it. I don't have enough. But I know one thing is for sure. I can, in fact, make the its recolored slash redesigned counterpart in the form of the Blizzard knuckles used by Grease. And instead of being Magnum themed, it's completely Blizzard themed. And yes, it looks completely reminiscent to his original form, but he now has a giant, almost like claw arm on his it's his left arm. He has to use his right arm to turn the crank on the build driver. I am probably not also going to talk about Grease Perfect nor Kilba's Spider. Those are the exact same format and formula as the Claws Dragons, just being slight redesigns actually, but they still have the same back part and actual molding design of the dragons' legs at the back. And then you also have Prime, which is basically the bottle itself is a redesign of the full bottle that Bill uses to get his rabbit and tank forms. Only without like the whole rotating cap sections, and like once you already have the thing like this and like that, you completely have the standby theme on for the entire time, and like there's like no reason at all to like have the standby sound turned on once it's in the two bottles are locked in position. It has to be plugged into the morpher for the standby sound to go off. Oh, there's my uncle. Can I get a shout out? Oh, sure. My uncle has recently joined the chat. My uncle has also been here for quite some time now. Ever since somewhere towards the end of 2022. Moving on. I was also somewhat potentially thinking the Trainz steam gun, Nebula steam gun, and steam blade, but roleplay weapons are probably not my thing. Especially when I attempted to build the Deep Closer, which is the weapon that Kamen Rider Claws uses. Only problem with that, I just completely rage quitted halfway through the build when I was done working on the blade section and where the somewhat meter is, to the point where I just completely rage quit and just wanted to just not do it anymore because I just didn't know how to design the part where the handle and where you insert a bottle goes. That was my only problem. So maybe I'm not exactly up for designing roleplay toys and Lego. It'll probably be more of a problem when I attempt to build the steam guns and steam blade, both the normal one and Nebula. Which the Nebula steam gun is always just the same as the normal one, but with slight redesigning, slight recolor, and a bit of pre-programming in it. Anything else I want to address? Alright, let me talk about the fact that we're almost at 500 subscribers. Something I'm pretty excited about, and I have already made preparations to do another special video of it. but I was thinking about, instead of uploading it onto my main channel, I had something much better in mind. I uploaded onto my secondary channel on Dailymotion, which I had for quite some time, and the only reason why I have it in the first place is because of a few earlier this year. And if you've gotten that one post earlier this year, somewhere back in April or March, that a few of my older videos, specifically tributes, had to be deleted for copyright reasons. Let's see, Nihilus was one of them. King Candy, or should I say Turbo, recently, which I am planning on re-uploading the King Candy / Turbo tribute video, hopefully either next month in either November or December. Once I'm done with the Dawn of Blood Tribe arc and the Huggy Bob Cockroach Pants movie. Once I'm done with Dawn of Blood Tribe, then I finish up the Huggy Bob Cockroach Pants movie. And I spend the rest of what is left of 2024 working on tribute videos. But not only will my Dailymotion channel serve as an alternative solution for any of my previous videos that have either been through the phase of being copyrighted / deleted, it will also serve as a secondary channel of mine that you can only access via by a link. If you didn't get the memo in some of my older videos, when I first got the channel out and running, I constantly have a little link in the description for the actual channel, which none of you bothered to realize in those older videos. So hopefully I will link it in this video so you guys can check it out for yourselves if you feel like it. Because I highly recommend you check it out. It's not as developed as the main channel, but that's because the secondary channel is already in the phase of under construction. And although while Dailymotion is the second biggest browsing platform after YouTube, it was often a lot slower at taking down copyrighted videos, which actually made it good for stuff like TV shows, movies, and animes, and possibly music videos, I guess. Only problem with that is just because if Dailymotion didn't have a copyright system, unlike its rival YouTube, it did, however, still have the ability to get rid of the videos or just the entire channel altogether. Much like, once again, its predecessor and also its somewhat rival, I guess, YouTube. To the point where I just completely gave up on Dailymotion altogether. But the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to revisit my Dailymotion channel and just attempt to put it back into service after just how many months later. I thought long and hard about it. I want a chance to bring it back into preservation. I want a chance for you guys to see the channel, watch the videos, and let me know what you think. I know I've had a bit of improvements with my tribute videos ever since the Alice Masquerade video I did back in July earlier this year, and it's been doing well since then. Anyways, Yes, I have a secondary channel. I will link it in the description of this one. If any of you watching this feel interest or have any motivation to want to see it. Because honestly, I put a lot of proper work, a lot of effort into developing it. All of my newer videos nowadays, recent ones, I put a lot of work and effort into now, thanks to Kind Master. And yes, I'm actually pretty happy with that now, because now I'm actually know how to edit videos, edit images, and also edit voices. And something which I honestly now feel pretty proud of myself for now. And oddly enough, my Maximum Overdrive video is doing surprisingly well lately. Like, ever since the day I uploaded it, which was back in August this year when I returned from South Carolina. No, seriously. Do you want to know how many views that thing has now? Like, ever since I initially uploaded it? Because now, as of the making, and also as of the recording of this video, if I can find it, has a total of 6.2. Wait. Oh my god, it's almost at 6.3 thousand views from just 2 months ago. Can you believe it? Okay, wow, so it turns out lots of you people actually enjoy Maximum Overdrive and the actual truck in general. I mean, heck, Tim Shockey, a huge fan of the movie, has even perfectly recreated the truck in its entirety. A perfect recreated representation of the actual truck, the actual body, the interior, just absolutely everything spot on. My god. It's honestly quite surprising how, even though the original model was destroyed during the final scene where they shot a rocket launcher at it, the result of it getting just exploded. Which, fun fact, the actual crew members driving the trucks had to wear heat suits while the trucks were on fire until the scene cutted. And also after the Green Goblin truck itself was destroyed thanks to the rocket launcher, it was mostly completely burnt to a crisp and also beyond repair. However, despite that, Tim Shockey was able to get his hands on the actual Goblin face and also eventually recreate the actual truck itself. The truck itself actually happens to be based off of a 1977 White Star Western semi-truck, modified to have the Green Goblin's face on the entire hood grill section. Stephen King even mentioned how he got the entire Goblin face from Marvel itself, and was in fact granted permission from Marvel to use his face in the movie. But anyways, if you enjoy possessed vehicles, there's also Christina, another Stephen King movie about a possessed car, much like that one Green Goblin truck in Maximum Overdrive. And yes, oddly enough, both of which happen to be made by Stephen King, a few years apart from each other, that is. In fact, a real-life representation of Christina still exists to this day in a car museum. Mm-hmm. And that's back to Green Goblin on the other Goblin truck on the other hand. The truck itself, as I previously stated, a Western 1977 semi-truck and a custom-made 40 or how long is the trailer? Anyway, regardless on the length of the trailer, it was painted up in the Happy Toys logo with a domestic clown face at the back. For the sake of the movie's story. The way how the crew members and Stephen King was able to achieve creating the illusion of the trucks driving by themselves by having the actual crew members put further in the back and lowered down a bit, like basically below, so you can't actually see them in the cabs. To actually create the illusion of the trucks moving by themselves. The only problem with this, however, was that they had to wear heat suits, as I previously mentioned before, during the scenes of them actually destroying the trucks, which looks like it cost around a lot of money, Mr. King. But either way, it was a part of the story, plus I'm pretty certain Stephen King had permission to even... Wait, they were stunt trucks, so of course he had permission to blow them up, for the sake of the story's purpose. And then either way, back to Christina. The way how Christina constantly just kept regenerating herself was combined with reversing the actual scenes and also CGI. Right, I think that's how it went. I don't remember correctly, but correct me if I'm wrong. Either way, some weird, funky CGI with Christina rebuilding herself. Basically, that's how it was achieved, the whole Christina regenerating and rebuilding herself, to say the very least. Anyways, what else should I be addressing? Hopefully by the time I arrive at my dad's house on Sunday, I will ultimately see what the end result is of the whole Dell computer situation. If it was fixed, or if it's just, well, to the point where it's just... Because over time, I have insulted it, I have neglected it, I had scolded so many times for having a very bad habit of constantly lagging whenever I try to play Train Simulator. I called it outdated a few times. Even though I didn't actually mean it, I still wanted to call it outdated because of its poor habit of lagging. You would get what I'm talking about if you'd seen any of my older Train Simulator videos. You would know what I'm talking about if you've seen them. So who knows, if I could just replace the current hard drive for a new one, or just get an entirely new one altogether, create some save files on Google Drive, create them accounts, and then re-download all them shits from there. And then also just the games I have in general. Trainz 2012 I obviously got through Amazon. That cost money, so I may get some help from my relatives in order to help re-get the game, along with the case of re-downloading all the content I had, the locomotives, rolling stock, maps, I mean, I did it once, I can do it again. To the point where it feels like I'm just torturing myself by doing this. Because, hey, it turns out there's a lot of good stuff I want to get for a train simulator. Like you have such as the RF-16 Baldwin sharknoses, but unfortunately, when I tried to get some from the Trainz Forge website, which I will once again have linked in the description down below if you're interested of checking out the website for yourself, if you're interested in the content it has for Train Simulator, be my guest, by all means. And then I also have Lander VR1, another creator in the Trainz community. I actually did have a good handful of stuff from him I got for my Trainz 2012 account. One of which is a Southern Pacific E7 diesel streamliner, which I'm actually pretty happy to own in my collection in the game. I'm actually such a huge fan and have a huge passion for streamlined trains in general. That is why I just personally enjoy EMD's series of E and F units, along with other locomotives such as Baldwin's RF-16 sharknoses and Fairbanks Moore's airy belts. And as far as the sharknoses go for Baldwin, they actually used air throttles for most of the, like the air valves with the couplers, and also the actual levers and switches in the cab. While it proved at lower cost, however, because of that, it meant that Baldwin was unable to couple up or attach to other engines from building companies such as EMD and Alco, since they have completely different throttle and like little wiring design for the couplers are. The only way to add it was to return the locomotive to the manufacturer, in this case Baldwin, and make unnecessary changes that will ultimately affect the locomotive itself. Anyway, I attempted to download them in Trainz 12. It just had this horrible series of errors and more shit I should not be aware of, because how does Trainz know when something is faulty or not? Think, Aaron, in NV3. You need to fix your games at some point because of all the poor habits it does to my computer. One of my Dell computer. Lander VR1, I can't even get them. They're on the goddamn Trainz forums. If any of you train experts out there know how to obtain the stuff from Lander VR1, let me know, either in the chat or in the comment section down below. I will, if your information is good enough, or if it's just profound and false. I only accept true information, not profound false information. Because Lander VR1 also did RF-16s for railroads such as the Chicago Northwestern, Santa Fe, and Canadian Pacific, when in real life the RF-16s were only manufactured for just 3 railroads, and only 3. Well, okay, maybe 5 actually, because they were then later given to the Mahinif Railroad, and then later they were taken into custody, 2 of which by the Delaware and Hudson, where they remained in storage for past 40 years, until December 2021, which there is also in fact a video of that if you are interested of checking that video out about the RF-16s, then be my guest of honor. But seriously, To the point where I wish that Lander VR1 could also have his RF-16s for Train Simulator on websites like the Download Station, or heck, even Trainzland. And yes, I will also once again have the links for those websites, but once again, will be linked in the description down below if you are in fact interested. Oh, my uncle just shout out for my aunt and one of my aunt's relatives, who also happens to be my dad's niece and also one of my older cousins. Additionally, she also happens to be two of my cousins' sister-in-law, and I've also quickly taken a liking to her. I will admit though, I actually enjoyed spending time with her, not just during my time at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but also a few months back when my aunt and uncle showed up at my dad's house somewhere at the start of October. It was also the first time that they actually met my dad's girlfriend's daughters. I actually found it to be somewhat great, because it never exactly, because only one time my uncle only saw my dad's girlfriend, her daughters together, like one time at a concert at the schools that my brothers attend, and also recently this month. It was also nice to see like my dad's new girlfriend, her daughters, meet my entire family, all my relatives. They actually got along pretty great, if I must say so myself. Oh, let me also just address one else, by the way. Somewhere in December, later this year, my dad, his girlfriend, her daughters are moving into the family tree. No, seriously. I have already enjoyed them for the most part. Ever since, what? Around like, somewhere around either last year, 2023, and then also this year as of now. One of which, the youngest of the four, drove me and my brothers and her other siblings nuts, to the point where I even made threats to even sue her, and also to the point where I felt like that she needed to get massacred by Santa for Christmas. Even though I was only just pretend joking, you could make the case that it is still technically considered forms of threats and intimidation. Something I refuse to believe from people like you. Plus, I have my reasons for threatening her with intimidation, because she is annoying them, at least people who I like to see, and that's all she ever does, to the point where it's becoming a habit. Oh, and by the way, once she gets older, by the time she's around the same age as me, she'll stop always because that's all she ever does. And that is probably why I do not want to have a family by the time I am a grown person. I mean, sure, but not like an actual family, a girlfriend. She'll eventually become my future wife, and I put up with a little crap for like the majority of my life. So getting myself a girlfriend, off the agenda, not going down that route. running out of ideas to discuss. Honestly, I'm just running out of ideas to just discuss. But yes, links to the websites I just mentioned, the whole 500 subscribers video uploaded onto my secondary channel on Daily Motion. If you're interested in checking it out, everything else I just addressed, links to those, description down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you if I don't. And if I don't, well then, I will probably just explode. No, I don't mean literally. I'm just joking. But anyways, 500 subscribers, that's literally roughly 50% on the way to 1,000. And once we have made it to 1,000 subscribers, then will come the journey to make it to 10,000. Don't expect for me to make it to 100,000 or 1 million. Probably a milestone I'm not going to make it to anytime soon, like either 1,000 or 2,000 is good enough, but anywhere above, like 10,000, I mean, no, seriously. So maybe starting these next 2.5, 3.5 maybe? I think maybe. It's like almost the end of October. I have a challenge for all of you. You must have over more than 500 subscribers by the time 2024 ends. That is everyone's homework for what is left of this year. And by the time 2024 ends, I will see how many subscribers I have before this year is over. And if you guys choose not to attend it, that's on you. And also because you're choosing to be procrastinators, which means someone who tries to avoid doing his or her responsibilities on purpose. But hey, I'm not going to start pointing fingers at you guys for choosing to ignore the notifications on my newer videos lately, because it turns out that some of you actually care about the things I do. Even if you're not there half the time. Half the time, I had to send the videos to my friends on my phone. And also, yes, to some of my relatives. My uncle, my aunt, my cousins. And yes, even my, step-siblings. Via through Snapchat, because I don't have their emails whatsoever. And yes, the same thing goes with some of the other relatives I have in this family tree. Via by one of my older cousins, and who happens to, once again, as I previously addressed, my dad's niece, my older cousin, and also two of my other cousins' sister-in-law, and also the daughter to my aunt and uncle. Maybe one of these days I will add her to my messenger list, Snapchat list, at some point. Could possibly think like either when I next see her in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina next year, or whenever we just have another entire reunion with the relatives. Oh, I can think about it. But I think that was it about the whole updates on my life, the computer situation, the Lego models I have created, a bit of address about the whole family tree, everything else that's happening. So hey, guys, I will be seeing you all later. Have the wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I will see you all later. Goodbye for now.